guys, we're going to talk briefly about, we're in lesson 12 today on page 91 in your book, about finding percentages. Now, we've already done this. We've already talked about finding percentage. We've talked about that part over whole relationship. Same thing here. I'm just going to show you and remind you a couple different ways we can find percents. So on page 91, we have this kind of warm-up question, and it says, what percentage of the car is the price? Car price is the tax. So we can see that the car price here is divided. They've divided it into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal sections, and that extra section at the end, that's the tax, is added on. Well, if it's divided into 4 equal sections, that's 1/4. The tax is 1/4 of the extra part, or 1/4 of the part. That means it's an extra 1/4. And what percent is 1/4? Well, that's 25%. So we want to think about that part to whole. The part in this case is 1, and the whole is 4. We want to think about that part whole, and again, I said in class, we can divide that out and then change that decimal to a percent by moving the decimal 2 places. Another thing we can do, though, and we've mentioned this before, is that part to whole relationship is equal to the percent that we're looking for here over 100. So I put a question mark there. We could really put a little x, a variable. And the way we solve those percent problems is by cross multiplying. So we do 100 times 1, because there's a 1 in the numerator. 1 times 100 equals 4 times x. So this is where cross multiplying really comes in to play. That's different from multiplying across. It's not the same thing. So I'm careful with using that language. 1 times 100 is 100 equals 4 times x, sometimes that unknown thing. Well, if that unknown thing is multiplied by 4 to get that 100, to undo that multiply by 4, we would divide by 4. And if I divide on one side by 4, I'm going to divide on the other side by 4. That leaves me with 1x, or just x, equals 25. So I got the same answer either way. The benefit of doing that part over whole equals percent over 100 relationship is I don't have to ever worry about moving the decimal. That divided by 100 is already taking care of that for me. So let's try these other couple problems. So for this second one, again, the part over the whole equals the percent over 100, where it looks like we're out at a restaurant. We've got this food cost, and we're leaving a certain percentage as a tip. Well, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that food cost, the whole has been divided into 5 equal parts. And that tip is 1/5 of the whole. So the part over the whole, the 1 over 5, equals x over 100. You can use whatever variable you want there, or a question mark, or whatever you want to use. Again, I'm going to cross multiply here. 100 times 1 is 100, equals 5 times x is 5x. And then again, that 5x means 5 times x. To get rid of times 5, I'll divide by 5, and I want to get that x by itself. That's 1x equals 20. So we've left a 20% tip. Again, you can take that 1/5 and change it into a decimal and move the decimal over if you want to. Either way, it doesn't matter, same idea. What percent of the shirt cost is the discount? Well, let's see, the shirt cost has been divided into 1, 2, 3 equal sections, and the discount is 1 of those thirds, equals x over 100. Again, cross multiplying, 1 times 100 is 100, equals 3x. Divide by that 3. That's 33.3 repeating percent. Okay, so part over whole equals percent over 100. Gets me through all the percent questions I really ever need. If we remember that little ratio, it's a piece of cake. So let's keep that in mind as we do the problems on the next page. Again, our ratio, the thing to keep in mind the rest of your life, part over whole equals percent over 100. All right, question says a salesperson sold a car for $18,250. Their commission is $693.50. What percentage of the sales price is their commission? Well, we want part over whole. We're looking for the percent. So equals x over 100. The percent will always go over the 100. The part will be that $693.50. And the whole would be the sales price of the car. And now we're going to cross multiply. We'll do $693.50 times 100. I know how much that is. That's 69350. When I multiply by 100, I just move that decimal 2 places. Equals 18250x. So x times 18,250. If I want to get rid of that times 18,250, I'm going to divide by 18,250 on both sides. Whatever I do with an equation, the idea is whatever you do to one side, do to the other side, and it keeps that equation balanced. So we can do the same operation on both sides and not change the value of that equation. So I take out my calculator, 69,350 divided by 18,250. That gives me 3.8. Now again, because I cross multiplied like this, because I used that equals percent over 100, I don't have to worry now about moving my decimal. I've taken care of that. So my answer there would be 3.8%. All right, we'll try the next one. The bill for a meal was $33.75. The customer left $40. What percentage of the bill was the tip? So in this case, we've got to be careful. Our parts and our wholes have to be figured out before we can calculate that percent. Again, the percent's going to come from the x over 100. But that part and the whole here, a little tricky. The whole, a lot of times with these, it's the smaller over the larger, but that's not always the case. The whole here is, it says what percent of the bill was the tip. Well, the bill was the $33.75, and that's going to be our whole. The tip would be our part. I don't know what the tip is yet. I have to figure out what the tip was. So $33.75 subtracted from 40 is $6.25. That's our part. So a little tricky there. We have to figure out the part and the whole and work through which one is which. We could plug those numbers in different ways and get an answer. It just won't be the right answer. All right, so again, as I cross multiply, 6.25 times 100 is 625 equals 3375x. And to get my answer, I'll divide by that number in front of x. That's called the coefficient of x, 3375. Take out my handy-dandy calculator, 625 divided by 33.75. I get 18.5, and that is it's a longer repeating decimal. It's about 18.52%, or about 18.5%. Okay, so that cross multiply idea is a good one. Last one here. The original price of a bicycle was $375. Now it's on sale for $295. What percent of the original price was the markdown? All right, well, let's see. The original price, that was $375. The markdown, well, let's see, it was marked down from $375 to $295. That is $80, I believe. So that's our part. The markdown is our part. Equals the percent, that's what we don't know, x over 100. And again, we cross multiply 80 times 100. That's 8,000 equals 375x. My dogs are getting dinner right now, if you can hear barking in the background. We divide by the 375. 8,000 divided by 375 gives me 21.3%, 21.3 repeating percent of a discount. Okay, part over whole equals percent over 100. And again, that ratio, that proportion, will take you through a lot of life. That's how I do almost all of my percent problems all the time. There's a lot of other ways to do them. I always go back to that ratio. All right, so you're going to try a few problems in the book and have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget Schoology is due on Monday. See you guys. Bye-bye.